Hello guys, so this is another video for the Bible reading section of my channel, and we are going to read through Genesis 1 to 5. Genesis 1 to 5. Alright, so the verses, I'll first read the verses and then we can go on to the breakdown. So you can see it says English KJV or else King James Version, and then you have the second verse, you have the third verse, fourth and fifth. So the verses are as follows: and the earth was without form and void. For your reference, this is right after Genesis 1:1, which says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So I'm sticking to that version. And then the second verse is, and then earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then verse 3 is, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And the fourth verse says, and God saw that light was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. 5, and God called the light day, and darkness he called the night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Alright, so basically this is the first day. All right, so I should have actually done verses 1 through 5 all together and call it a day. All right, metaphorically and physically, it's a pun. All right, so I should have called it a day, but I've done the most stupidest thing by taking just Genesis 1:1, but it was a good video, so we'll stick to this. So okay, so what is God talking about here? Okay, what is the motive behind this? Actually, for me, looking at it as a person who well, I understand the story, like I understand uh, the chemistry and the cinematography behind this, but still it's like if I had to look at this the way I'm looking at it right now and describe it just based on what's mentioned here, okay, for me it's uh, just a story, all right, that is said to sort of establish a framework, establish a hierarchy of authority. All right, I don't see any reason as to why anything mentioned here within these four verses, right, has anything to do with the things that come after. Okay, what do I mean? So imagine a story, all right? No, not a story. Imagine there's a person, okay, who does not understand how the universe works, who does not understand how things have come to be. Or else, rather, not just that he does not understand, the fact that he has no way of knowing. Okay, so if he was privy to the information prior to that instance, he might have understood and he might have not said what he says. But instead, imagine a person who we do not know what his IQ or what that is, but still, given the benefit of the doubt, who doesn't have the information readily available, is trying to somehow make sense of the universe, is trying to somehow make sense of something that is impossible to know without the proper tools and understanding, but still he tries. And no matter how like absurd his version of explaining the unexplainable is, it does not contribute anything to his life. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, what do I mean by that? So imagine, like imagine the wildest type of story that this person can come up with. Imagine the wildest type of uh, explanation that this person can give as to why the sun only rises from one side and sets from the other, as to why the stars don't blink but the planets do, as to why the clouds are white and the sky is blue, right? These things, no matter how absurd his explanation and his understanding is about those things at the moment, the fact that they are that way or not has no direct influence by what he believes. Like, nobody gives a shit. Okay, so the same way, the things that inspire and conspire within the Bible later on has no inherent bearing on how this story is told. Like, if, like, for example, just imagine if the first, or else if the Genesis part of the Bible was any different, okay, the Bible will still come out the same. So therefore, the purpose of this story is not to influence the stories that come after it. Okay, so there's no chain link sort of thing that carries on the same type or same sort of narrative. So this whole section, this whole Genesis section, is just there to sort of present a metaphor as to how the first few days, first few minutes of the beginning of creation might have gone. So therefore, I don't see Genesis as this one prominent story that we should look for answers to and from. But still, the argument can be made that it is one of the, if not the most, okay, overrated story, overrated parable, overrated book within the collection of books in the Bible. Alright, be it the origin story of a vampire, be it the starting story of any sci-fi and fantastical story. It starts with the first man and the first woman. Okay, whatever games that we play, our whole pop culture media is based on this story. Any number of versions of this story too. Okay, you got the Zoolander version, which is Adam, Eve, and Steve, and yeah, like, fuck all. How many are there? Okay, so because of that, I see this book Genesis as a story within a storybook. Okay, so that's how I see it. Okay, now if it had any other sort of bearing and pressure and relevance within the other stories that come afterwards, then I would have changed my understanding about it. Now I've been talking about this for 8 minutes, so fuck me. Alright, so what does these four verses say? Like, what's there to get? Okay, so let's look at the key words that we need to understand when it comes to the translation, because you can remember in the first video we discussed in depth as to how the translations affect the outcome of the story, how the stories told are not the exact stories written down when it is written in English, right? So root words and meaning: without form and void, okay, tahu vawahu. Chaos and emptiness, indicating potential waiting for divine action. So basically it's like the meaning behind saying the universe was formless and void. Okay, by saying those two words, or by trying to say some words that mean those two things, what the author or the person who's writing this story is trying to invoke is the fact that it was as if the universe was as if a big sheet of canvas, okay, a big sheet of canvas spread across a board with paints ready. Okay, now it says null, formless and void, right? So imagine the canvas, the sheet of canvas being just, just laying there, all right. And void also means nothingness, but imagine that represents the watercolors not being in order. So the watercolors are there, but they are not in order. They are all chaotic. They are all just you know over there, right, over in a general area, just thrown. So so uh, those two things, the watercolors and the and the canvas, just is there, just waiting until a skilled artist comes there to pick them up, to put them on the board, to stretch them, and then organize the paints in a way that is usable, and then start to draw something magical out of it, to make a creation using that which was previously unused and in a chaotic situation, in a chaotic position. Okay, so that is what the author is trying to give out and emphasize. Okay, so basically what the author is saying is that in the beginning, when God said, what did God say in the beginning? uh, what was the first verse? I can't fucking remember. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So as soon as God created heaven and the earth was formless and void. The earth was empty, as if it was begging for God to imbue in it, or else spill onto it some form of artistic value, and i.e. creation, in essence creation. And then verse 2, the spirit of God, Ruach Elohim, the divine breath or force poised to act. So basically, when it comes to the when it comes to the belief, or as religion, in the Abrahamic religions, okay, there's this understanding that God always needed three things, or else three types of influences to do shit. Okay, so this is my way of understanding it, all right. And so yeah, this is my way of understanding. So imagine yourself, easy, okay, imagine yourself, right. You always have this voice in your mind, right, that tells you to do stuff, that sometimes have these internal monologues, that sometimes judge you on what you do, that is sometimes very uncontrollable, that is unreliable sometimes, that just is there. Okay, you have a guy inside yourself, everybody does. Okay, so we most of the time call it our mind. Okay, imagine that the mind, okay, is God, or else, yeah, is God. Okay, now imagine that the physical body, which is who you are, okay, the one that actually end up doing stuff, okay, imagine that to be Jesus Christ, who came down, took a physical form, and lived among us. So that is the body. And then imagine the Holy Spirit to represent your heart, the one that feels everything, the one that is all emotional, and it all three of them have either equal or majority of power to influence all three of them to do one outcome. So if you're like, if you're looking at a movie, and if it's a sad fucking movie, all right, your mind knows that you're looking at a film. Your mind knows that it is not real. Your body understands that it is not in any sort of threat or any sort of a emotional stance. Is like, in a scenario, your body physically knows that there's no reason for you to fucking cry right now. But because of the scenes that you see physically, that influence the emotional aspect of your being, your whole body will start to feel at unease. Your eyes will physically turn red. And you will start crying, and your mind will be left wondering, like, what the fuck, what the actual fuck. Okay, so this is the way that I understand the Holy Trinity. Okay, it's still one person. It's one person. Physically, it's one person. That's how we see it. But in actuality, there's three people, three drastically different individual things that have come together to make this one person. So that's my 2 cents about the Trinity. And so the Holy Spirit in this scenario is represented by the words, the breath that God placed on earth. So when you like, I think there's this word, I cannot remember, I don't know whether this would have put it out, but when that word is spelled in the Hebrew language, I think it was create or to give form. Okay, it uses two consonants or something like that, that will that when you pronounce it, it is as if you're yawning out, like you're putting breath out. And it is like, when the language was created, it is created in such a way that it reflects how it would have been for God to give breath. Okay, so it's a very uh, fun aspect for you to just do a small search on it. Okay, and then the third part is light, represents divine order breaking through chaos, a central theme in creation. Yeah, so that, I hope you can understand what that means. All right, so then there are the key observations. So duality, so all these things that are mentioned above, even in Genesis 1:1, is always going to be in pairs. So you have like light and dark, you have day and night, you have heaven and earth. So all these things are talking about duality. All these things are talking about twos. Okay, so that two gives you another meaning, that this cannot be something natural, rather it is orchestrated. It is it is uh, it is fabricated. Okay, it is fabricated. And actions and speech. So God's words directly manifest creation, emphasizing divine authority. Well, okay, yeah, yeah, that's what the author wants us to understand, and that's what we get. Symbolism of time. The division into day and night establishes a measurable framework for existence. So yeah, basically, within like Genesis, the main objective of Genesis is to explain, like do a quick law dump on you, so that you can get on with it as soon as possible. And lost in translation. So this is talking about the the translations that have, or else the words that have been missed because of translation. So tohu vahu is often simplified as formless and empty, but it implies a cosmic disorder that requires divine intervention. So just like what I tried to explain with the with the canvas being there on the floor or a bed, with with the watercolors right next to it, like that invites any person to start drawing on it. Okay, it is not as if they were two different and two distinct things that has nothing in relation, that didn't have any reason as to why they are there. No, those two things are like magnets that invites god to come and create. So therefore, to imply that the world was as far as the story goes, okay, so to imply that the world did not require a creative being to be there to give it form and give it reason to exist is null and void. Okay, so the story itself, the story starts with the understanding that the earth was in earth, or else the planet was there in such a way that it required god to come and start creating. Like, it's as if, imagine you walking down the hallway in your house and you pass your bedroom and you see your wife all naked on the bed. Okay, what do? That's an invitation. That's an invitation. So you cannot say no at that point. If she's naked, then that's all the more reason why you should do. Okay, so it's something like that. All right, she is there because of a reason, and that reason is the exact same reason that you are thinking about right now. So that's what it is. Okay, so that's there. And then light extends beyond physical illumination to symbolize divine knowledge and presence. And yeah, that's another thing where you can explain light as knowledge. So it can also mean that that is when knowledge, or else understanding, or else the start of understanding the concept was given form. So light as in, it does not mean photons, it can mean something else also. So these are the things that are presented within 2 through 5, and there's not much to talk about it other than these few details, because it is just explaining events as they unfold. And in the few verses after this, we have some breakdown, some things to actually break down. And so this is just the reading and sort of giving you 1 and 2 about this Genesis 1 1. All right, so I hope that was a good read. I hope you understood or found anything interesting that you wouldn't have otherwise. And I hope to catch you guys on the other one. And yeah, I'll try to break them down in a better way, rather than just sticking to uh, things that should have otherwise gone together. Okay, see you guys, bye.